Cardinal Vincent Nichols, well, we stand now on the threshold of the conclave, and I recall last week you said something that interested me a great deal, and that was that you were somewhat intimidated at the thought of the process. Is that still the case now?
I think the decision of which I have to be a part is intimidating because it has such widespread consequences. People across the world are looking at this moment and wondering how the next Pope will contribute to world affairs, to the well-being of children, the well-being of the poorest. It's intimidating, but I think the process of the last week or so has given me a much better feel for this group of cardinals who we've now talked together for a long time. Some have shown immense capacity and insight. So I think there's actually a whole number of candidates with some of the gifts. I'm not sure there's anyone with all of the gifts that people might imagine the next Pope will have. So I'm a bit more calm, but it's still an intimidating decision that has to be made, yeah.
And what would you say for you those gifts are?
The gifts that are needed. My own thoughts have centered around this combination of Peter and Paul. I mean, from St. Paul, clearly many people expect the Pope to be an effective and even dramatic voice of Christ, of the gospel in the world, contributing to the well-being of our human family. But there's also Peter, and in some ways the Pope is the successor of Peter. And of course he's got to be a strong voice of the gospel, mercy and hope and love. But he's also got to confirm his brethren. He's got to hold people together. He's got to find a way through difficulties and tense moments. And Peter makes decisions. He has what we call a power of the keys. So we need someone who is consistent and decisive and who, I think, can say no to some things that he's asked, but doing it in a way that doesn't break any bonds of the communion of the Church. I've always thought, authority in the Catholic Church is, yes, there is somebody who can say no to you, but he can also give you a hug. And those two things, I think, are very important in the Supreme Pontiff, the first one, who has to make these important decisions.
Now, we've had those 12 general congregations, 133 cardinal electors. That's a lot of people to get to know and to be alongside. They say a lot of the work gets done actually in those general congregations. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think the general congregations are run by an important principle, and that is that everyone has the right to speak. And that means everyone has the duty to listen. And there has been very, very attentive listening. It's been tiring, because listening is tiring. But what my thought have been is it's been quite an inspiring time, actually, to see so many people, so many cardinals who, whether they mean it or not, show their love for Christ and show their richness of experience and show their determination to find the response to the opportunities of the gospel that will serve the people in their area, in their part of the world. So on the whole, that meeting hall has been full of goodness and full of strong dedication to Christ. And I found that very encouraging.
Have you considered how you're going to feel when you hear those words, extra omnes? Everybody's out, and then you stand in front of those beautiful works of art. Last Judgment, of course, but plenty of other things to look upon. Are you going to take the time to look at and be inspired by what surrounds you at that time?
I would imagine so, because the process of actually voting is slow. It's very solemn, but with 130, however many votes to be cast, and each one to be done individually with a procession up to the altar or the table that will stand in front of the Last Judgment. And each cardinal to make a promise, I think, that before God and in his conscience, this is the name of the person he thinks can be the next pope. Do that 135 times, and it's not going to be quick. So while I wait, I'll be full of wonder at the beauty of Michelangelo's art, but also expecting it to prompt in me an openness to God, a thankfulness at the wonder of the faith that we have, and a reinforcing of the hope that all of this, Michelangelo's work too, all of this is the work of the Holy Spirit, who is the giver and Lord of life.
And finally, a friend of mine, a person you know very well, some years ago said he had a dream of you coming out of on the central balcony, the central loggia, in white. I presume that's something that's not really crossed your mind?
No, not really. I mean, if it did, I'd just have a smile and think, from what I've heard and seen, there are people who are far more able to serve the church in this way than I am.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us. Obviously, you go with our great prayers for you at this time. And see you in the days ahead, I hope, at some point.
I hope so too. Thank you.